morning, everyone. My name is Adeliz. Thanks for joining. Today's class is called On a Roll, and I'm going to be using my foam roller and a couple of tennis balls, and we are going to be going through what is called a self-myofascia release, little self-care. For those of you who are not familiar with what the myofascia is, it is a connective web that envelops all of the muscles and the organs, and sometimes it can get a little sticky. So we're going to go through a process today to try and just ease some of that stuff out. So let's begin. So you're going to start off on your backs, and I usually like to just organize myself so that I can sort of make a connection with my mat and also start to ease out the tension in my neck and in my shoulders. So just give yourself a moment or two, and if you need to pause the video for it at any time, please do. And if it starts to feel good in any place, this also is a good opportunity for you to just kind of self-discover and notice where you are. So just very, very easily start to just gently move the head from side to side. And this is going to massage that area just above the neck. And allow yourself to just kind of ease into it, increasing that range of motion just a little bit more. And then finally, when it starts to feel just about right, allow yourself to just kind of squeeze the foam roller by lowering the chin and then bringing the chin toward the chest. Same thing, and then you're going to feel some nice release, and it should feel pretty good. And then moving the head just a little bit slightly so you can start to get different parts of the back of the head and just above the neck. So again, you're not really putting any pressure on the neck, but you're allowing yourself to stretch out some of those ligaments, and then just easing, a little bit at a time. And again, just really using this opportunity to start to relax into the process. And then if you want to, you can just turn the head from side to side, and that should also feel really good. Now, for the most part, this process is really to help you release any tension that you have in the body. And so this is a great way to just allow yourself to unwind after a long workout or even a very stressful day. So then starting to just one more time ease and open just a little bit more. From here, we're just going to notice how that feels. And then gently, I'm going to just roll myself up, and then I'm just going to move the foam roller and then place it right underneath my shoulder blades. From here, I just kind of want to make sure that I feel open and lengthened and bringing the elbows in. From here, if you want to, just kind of raise the pelvis up and just allow yourself to just gently become familiar with how that pressure feels right in between those shoulder blades. And then engage the abdominals just to support, and then gently just ease from side to side. And this is just going to wake up those muscles that probably have been pretty tight throughout the day. And even if you're doing this in the morning, this is a nice way to kind of loosen up that myofascia. That layer, that thin layer that goes right over the muscles can get really sticky. And you're just going to gently start to roll forward and back. Now, if you're going to do this, I always like to get into the shoulders a little bit more. And so I like bringing the elbows up toward the ceiling. For our video today, I don't want to completely block myself, so I'm just going to open up. But this also feels really good. If it feels a little bit too intense, then gently just bring the hips down and then come back up and then roll once again. You want to stay within the shoulder blade area, and you might be tempted to go deeper into the back, but what we want to do is just ease that process in. And as we start to press into the myofascia and in the muscles, you're going to start releasing some of that tension as well. So now you're going to just lower the hips and then gently roll right into the side and then just gently getting in. If you want to get into that armpit, you can also roll in it, and it actually feels pretty good. We very seldom get into those muscles. We never think about it actually, but you'll notice if you feel any tension or tenderness, probably a good way to get some of that tension out. And then you'll do the same thing on the other side, and then ease yourself gently, and again, just notice how that feels. Now, I'm moving through this rather quickly. You might want to spend a little bit more time. Usually what we do in this process is just feel the pressure, ease into it, gently rolling a little bit at a time. So from here, we're just going to move on a little bit more, and then just kind of give yourself an opportunity to have a seat on your foam roller. Hands behind, opening out through the chest. And we're just going to gently ease into just one side. Now, there's a lot of flesh in those glutes, so it's not going to feel too intense, but it should feel good. I like doing this after a long day. If I'm in my living room watching TV, I don't want to be sort of stagnant and just sitting in one position. So this is kind of a great way to just make use of that downtime. And again, it's really important that you use the breath to help you get through some of those sticky areas. So this feels really good. I hope you're coming along with me. And if you're watching, this is also a good way to just kind of become familiar with the process. Now, there's no order in which you can do this. You can do it in any order that you like. So then gently easing off the foam roller. I'm now going to just kind of move the foam roller a little bit and then come off so that I can get a little bit of just massage in those hamstrings. Now, if this feels a little bit too much on the wrists, you can always take a break, have a seat, and then just kind of move the legs from side to side. And then just move the foam roller. And again, just kind of noticing how that feels. I have enough upper body strength that I kind of just like to roll forward and back. Now, again, just kind of noticing how that feels. And what we're also doing here, by just sort of rolling, we're kind of opening up some mobility in the shoulders. And that also feels really, really good. And then gently just release. So I'm going to move the foam roller out from under me, and I'm going to sort of switch positions now. Now, as I mentioned, you can really just use the foam roller to explore. I always like to start off to just make sure everything feels okay on the back. It's a little bit of a mini cat and cow. Allows you to ease into just a little bit of that movement. Remember, using movement in the body is really important. Aside from your regular exercise, I try to make a goal of like 100 minutes of movement in addition to the exercise that I do at home. So this is more on the self-care side, stress release side, so about 100 minutes of stress release. This can just wonders for your overall health. So you're going to place the foam roller in front and just gently going to walk your way and press the legs right on your foam roller. You're going to use sort of the leverage of those legs and the core and just gently start to roll forward and back. Now, if you're used to doing this, you may just feel like a nice massage. If you're new to foam rolling, you might feel some stickiness in those quadriceps. And I have to say, when I first started doing this process, there was a lot of trigger points that I had to roll through, and it felt kind of intense. So just kind of working your way through, again, just gently rolling. And the trick is to make sure that the legs are relaxed. So we don't want to tense the legs. We want to just imagine that you're just dragging the legs. And then you're going to stop right before the knees and then move all the way just right at that pelvic bone line. And again, we're still getting some movement into the shoulders, getting a little core work, so it's a win-win. Now, moving a little bit more, you're going to just shift to one side, and that's going to allow you to get into the more lateral part of the quadricep. And that's usually where the meaty part and where you've got some stuff, more than likely. I feel them a little bit more the closer I get to the knee, but it is pretty, it's just really a great way to let go of all that tension. And then same thing, you're just going to shift to the other side. And if you need to adjust the arms to get into it, that's okay. And again, just keep those legs relaxed, because that's how you're going to get into those deep pockets that need to be kind of released. So bringing it back to the center, one of the things I like to do is, we're moving with the grain of the muscles here, but I like to go into just cross fiber work. So I bring the knees up, the feet up, and then just do a couple here, and then just windshield wipe the knees from one side to the other. And it gives me a little bit more work for those quadriceps. And then I can get into one side a little bit more. And then again, every new spot that feels a little bit tight or feels like, oh, what is that? That's where you want to just kind of gently rock in that area until you're able to roll completely through it without any excruciating pain. Now, you can always take a break, right? This can be pretty intense at first. Those of you who've had a deep tissue massage, it can hurt so good. So this is pretty much the same process. You just go into those areas where you know you are tight, and then just roll those trigger spots or hard areas, and then be okay with it. So moving on, we're going to once again just kind of make sure everything feels all right. Now, I like getting into the hip, and so here we go. You're going to straddle your foam roller, and I like trying to get into the hip, and so this is a great way. You're going to allow yourself to just suspend your weight, right? Allow yourself to just kind of hold yourself up so that you can control the pressure. It can get really, really intense because we don't normally massage deep in those adductors. So give yourself a little bit of time here, and then when you find that spot, then you kind of just roll in that place. I have a tendency to get really, really tight hips after a run, and this is how I like to loosen that space. If you want to get deeper into it, then you add a little bit more weight and release into that muscle. I'm going to do that on the other side just because I want to be balanced here. And then again, just remember that every time you do this, try and approach it with a beginner's mind. Just because you've done it many, many times before, it's your first time of this part of the work for the day. So, if you've gone on a really hard run or you long bike ride, give yourself the time you need to just ease some of that recovery in, because I think the challenge is that we want to get our workout in, we want to sweat, we want to do all those things that potentially, right, we do so that we can remain fit, but we seem to ignore those areas of that self-care afterwards, which is really critical for just recovery. We don't want to break down more than we need to. We just want enough so that we can maintain our strength, be able to push, pull, and lift our own body weight, and do all those things that allow us to have a great life. So I'm in there, got that done. So now, again, and I always like to just make sure that I get a little bit of a check-in with my back, right? Because all it takes is just one quick move or something that doesn't feel right. So it's always good to take a break and just notice how that feels. We're going to get into a little bit of stretching into the hamstrings. So what I like to do is, I'm going to turn forward so that you can see what I'm doing. You're going to bring one foot in front. And at first, use the foam roller to just allow yourself to balance. You want to stay off the kneecap, and if you need a blanket or a towel, allow yourself to, place the knee there. And then allow the chest to just stay connected to the thigh. And that's going to allow you to open up the hips a little bit at a time. Remember, the muscles need time to warm up and also to adjust to any stretch that you might want to include in your process. And then allow yourself to hold it back, and then you get a nice stretch for the back of that hamstring. We're going to get into a little bit more of a deeper stretch. So this is a progression of the first one. If this feels like just enough, then you go with that and then hold that stretch here. Those wanting to go a little bit deeper, you're going to place the hands on the foam roller and then allow yourself to just gently ease forward. Now, if you need blocks are a good way to support you, but I like to just kind of stretch out the hamstring. Now, here's the trick. You gotta let it go. So I'm not very flexible, but I've made it sort of a minimal stretch where if I can stretch the hamstring and relax into it, then I pretty much have enough flexibility in my hips so that my gait is normal, it's not decreasing, and so I can walk, run, do all those things that I want to do. And then you can just roll a little bit from side to side, notice how that feels there, and using a nice deep breath. And then to come out of it, right, you're going to need a little core strength, pushing yourself back up and then rolling back in. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Allowing yourself to just open out the hips just a little bit, maybe getting a back stretch so that you can open up through the front of the body. You can feel really, really good there. And then just taking a nice deep breath. And then we do the same thing, right? Just opening forward and back. And again, each side will feel different, so let that be part of, just the self-discovery. Leaving a little bit of a stretch for that hamstring. That's going to prepare those muscles for the next stretch. And again, you can stay here as long as you want to. There's no need to rush. We're just moving through this process a little bit quickly just so that you can see your options here. And then when you feel comfortable, right, and again, this is all about just noticing where you are and then gently opening out through the hips. And then feeling that nice stretch. Again, relax into that stretch. And I like to just kind of make sure that I'm fully relaxed so that I don't have to hold on. So sometimes I'll tease my group and I'm like, let's open out, let's exhale. And they just look at me like, yeah, right. So just opening up, and that should feel really good. Remember, we want to keep the abdominals engaged throughout the process just to make sure that we're not placing any undue pressure onto the back. So gently easing up slowly and then coming back. And that's pretty much my go-to when I'm trying to get a little bit of a stretch in between my day, my workouts, or just self-release. We're going to use our tennis balls next. And what I like about the tennis balls is that they're very portable. So you can have a seat, and maybe while you're watching TV, you can get into the shoulders and do what I like to call a little squeeze the orange motion. And I'm generally really, really tight in my shoulders. So as I go in there, that can feel pretty good. The other option that you have right? If you want to get into a little bit of a deeper pocket, you can ease yourself down, take your tennis balls, right? And then just bring the tennis balls and place them right under the meaty part of your glute. And then just gently do a little mini windshield wipe. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take one tennis ball and then move it to another spot, windshield wipe the knees to the other side, and then move that tennis ball. And what you're gonna do is you're going to just gently move the tennis ball from side to side. Now you wanna be careful with the kidneys and the liver, so I always like to stay more on the lateral side. Don't go near the spinal column on the way up, right? And then just gently rolling from side to side, and you are in control of the pressure. As you get into that rib area, it's going to get a little bit more challenging, and so what I like to do is I like to place the tennis ball right in between the shoulder blades, and then gently scooch my way up, and then I'm right in between the shoulder blades and then right above. I'm right in the trapezius muscles, and then just allowing myself to just roll from side to side. From here I could reach the tennis balls, so I don't have to worry about them getting away from me. And then you can spend a little bit more time here and you'll just notice, wow, that feels really, really good. So again, just kind of an option. Grab your tennis ball. You can also use the tennis ball for the hamstrings. So sometimes I'll use one and place the other and then roll on the tennis ball. Or if I want to get into cross fibers, then I will move the leg laterally. And then do the same thing on the other side. And again, just kind of self-discovery, right? What feels good, how you can just add a little bit more intensity, have a little bit more options as you move with the tennis balls. The other thing you can do is you can also get into those hard to reach places. So you can get into the inside of that leg. You can get a little bit deeper into the calves, and then you can also get into those adductor muscles. So here, and sometimes again, if I'm watching TV and I want to be a little bit more proactive, if I didn't get my stretch in, then I'll use my tennis balls, and that also gives me an opportunity to just kind of ease out any tension. I like doing this at night so that if I want to just sort of rehydrate my muscles a little bit before nighttime, I can add this little myofascia. So myofascia is a really, really amazing system. It envelops the entire body, head to toe. And what we're finding is that we can actually transfer some pain. So what that means is that, say you've got hip pain, sometimes the actual injury can occur in the ankle or in the lower part of the leg. And so when you're moving different parts of the myofascia, it communicates with the entire system. So it's pretty phenomenal, and it helps with the exertion of the muscles. I mean, there is just so much that the myofascia does. It helps us be more aware of our place in space, communicates with the central nervous system. There's just not enough time to talk about what an amazing system the myofascia is. So finally, I'm going to go through one final go-to that I absolutely love, and that is massaging the feet. So you're going to place both the tennis balls right in front of your feet, and then what you're going to do is you're going to just gently stand and then roll. And what you want to do is just kind of get used to how that feels. And I always like to start off light, and again progressing just a little bit, and then grabbing on with the toes, and then just leaning into it just a little bit. so that I can get a nice stretch for the calves. And then off of that one, notice how that feels, and foot opens up nice and easy, and then I'll go through the same thing. And then noticing if I have any tender spots in my feet. I like using the foam roller in just about every class that I teach, because I think that whether you're barefoot or wearing shoes, your feet are really what get you around, and they take the brunt of all of our movement and all of our nerve endings there. So sometimes you can relieve lots of tension in the body by just rolling on your tennis ball. And then lean into it, and then that should feel really good there. Then what I like to do is grab on with both sets of toes, and then just give myself a chance to get a little bit more intense with that process. And then maybe moving up a little bit so that the balls of the feet are on my tennis ball, and then just getting in a little bit more. Sometimes I like to get a little playful and try and balance, and that is actually pretty fun. Then you're just going to move on a little bit more, so now the toes are on your mat, and then your heels can pump forward and down. And then if I'm feeling like, okay, maybe opening out, getting a little plie in there. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do to just find your way and notice what feels right. And then just easing forward and back. And then if you really want to, you can move forward, back, and this works on balance. So balance is a real important element of fitness. So as we get older, we lose a little bit of our balance at times. So just doing a little exercise like this can make all the difference. It can help you catch your balance when you need to. So now what we're going to do is that we're just going to move, and I'm going to take a side view for you. So the foam roller is going to go in front, and then we're going to do another stretch for the hamstrings. So what I like is that when I'm feeling tight anywhere in the body, we can really stretch out those hamstrings by just massaging the feet. Pretty amazing. So we're going to engage the abdominals, opening out. Let's externally rotate through those hips and just move the hips from side to side. Let's take a nice inhale and open out, exhale, and I'm going to have you bend the knees at first on that first dive, and then we're just going to bring the hands on the foam roller, and then engage the abdominals, moving up, forward and back, in and out, using that breath, and just allowing the head to just hang. And then from here, you're just going to remove the tennis ball, and then just kind of notice how that feels. And that should feel pretty good. So let's now finish up with a little bit more. And then again, we just want to ease into a little bit of a cat and cow to make sure everything feels all right. And then we're going to just bring the foam roller nice and vertical, and then just have a seat and open out the chest. Just kind of take it a little bit of a stretch from side to side. So just remember that you can really take your time with this process. Allow yourself to just ease into it. Try not to do too much at once. And then just allow yourself to just take the time that you need for self-discovery. I'm going to allow myself to just lower myself on foam roller, and then just giving myself a chance to open out through the chest, and then engaging and just closing the eyes and legs open out. Just rolling from side to side. Just gently starting to come up, and then you can actually come off your foam roller and then just notice how the body feels as you lay on your mat, using your breath. Knees come into the chest. Gently create small circles. Knees come to one side. Again, just giving yourself time to just move. That feels good. And then if you want, you can hold that stretch to one side. One last time, releasing any last bit of tension. Then easing up slowly. Having a nice seat. Again, just kind of allowing yourself to feel the body. Maybe rocking from side to side. I hope you enjoyed this process today. I hope that you'll use that foam roller anytime you need to get a little bit of a stretch. Remember, self-care is an important part and should be an important part of your day, just like drinking enough water, getting your exercise in, finding those levels of fitness. And during these stressful times, give yourself the time. Put yourself first and take care of yourself. Good to see you all. I hope to see you again. Namaste.